or an hour and a half. Welcome to the XNC Xbox Newscast. I'm Colteastwood, the host, and here I am with IGN's Destin Legarie, who has been absolutely, he's been so busy, but he wanted to take the time to come by and talk with all of us about the latest gaming news. So crazy, you've been moving in, which when you're moving and unpacking, that has got to be a nightmare that never ends unless you're sleeping. How have you been, though?
It's getting better. We're finally sort of getting settled into the new spot. I set this up rather quickly, so this one looks really nice. The rest of the house was a disaster for a really, really long time. So it took me a little bit.
First.
Yeah, studio needed to be set up first because I needed to get back to work, you know?
That's awesome. I wanted to talk to you about your channel. A lot of people here, everybody knows who you are, but you're making videos almost every day. What is your frequency on YouTube right now?
I try and post a video every day at 7 a.m. During the move, it was like sort of all over the place. One day I almost missed, but I ended up posting it at like 11:50. So I have this goal of doing a video every day for a year, right? Just about whatever's going on or whatever's on my mind. And it's been going pretty well so far.
So that's looming over your head during the day. Like I got to get my video and keep that momentum going on where you post something and yeah, that's pretty good. There's a lot of times when the news is a little, do I want to talk about that? Like, how do you approach that?
What do you mean? When the news is light?
Yeah, when the news is light, or maybe it's something you're not super interested in.
Well, usually you've covered something that I missed, or one of the YouTubers out there have covered something that I would find interesting, and I just talk about it like a week later because I only do one video a day. I don't do like every story that hits, right? Every day there's probably like 3 stories that hit, and I do one. So that I just sort of give my 2 cents on, like when the Nintendo Switch OLED model, which I think is a little bit of a bizarre marketing thing, it's going to sell out. Like everybody's going to buy the Nintendo Switch OLED model, but it doesn't do anything for if you're a docked gamer and you play it docked, it doesn't change anything. It has the same processor and everything. But if you're handheld, like if you're a handheld gamer or you don't have a Switch, I get it. Get the OLED model, right? But if you already own one, or it's just a strange thing to me because they had this opportunity to offer some sort of upgrade, but decided to stick with the same processor and everything. But that screen looks nice and the audio features seem good.
Have you had a chance to look at this, or you just know that OLEDs look great because I game on one?
I'm basing it off of what I've heard from people who've actually gotten to hold one, and it's been positive. Like they think it looks brighter. But I play my Switch docked these days, so not doing a lot of on the go since COVID hit.
Yeah, I've got a regular Switch and a Switch Lite. I don't have any complaints about the screen for what it is. I think it's great, but that's a big news item. And of course, like you're right, they will sell out no matter what. And I guess you can't go wrong having an upgrade even if it's just a screen. But I don't play on a Switch very much. How often are you on a Nintendo console?
Well, I've been playing my Wii U lately. I'm playing through all the core story Metroid games right now. I wanted to capture them and have them for IGN to have a way to do features around Metroid. I realized we don't have the full capture of most of the Metroid games, and it's sort of slow for like a day this week. So I captured all of Zero Mission the other day, and I'm actually like a big Metroid fan. I was like, I'm not that big of a Metroid fan. Then I started thinking about all the Metroids that I played through. I played through like Other M. I played through Zero Mission, Fusion, And I'm like, I guess I'm kind of a big Metroid fan, bigger than I thought, because I wouldn't say normally that I am, But anyway, that's why I got those controllers charging back there, because Skyward Sword's getting re-released again. And I know this is an Xbox show, but a lot of Nintendo stuff going on the last week or so.
So yeah, a lot of Nintendo time. So that's what you've been playing mostly. I was going to ask what you've been keeping busy with when you're playing, but
I started Plague Tale, and then I heard about the enhancements that were coming to Xbox. I'm like, well, I'll wait. So those have hit. I need to get back to that. I still need to finish the first Mass Effect and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And largely, I haven't had time to play anything for like 2 weeks.
That's what happens when you move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. You said Plague's Tale. I just finished it a few days ago. I was about halfway through it. Right before, this is funny, but I was halfway through it right when the pandemic hit. And I'm sitting in this room that I've lived in for the past year and a half. And I'm sitting there playing this game. Amicio, Hugo, Amicio. And I was getting kind of like depressed because we didn't know going in like how long this was going to last, or how severe it would be, or how many people, just how our life would be affected. And a black plague where everyone was shutting their doors and staying inside because people were dying was just too poignant for me at the time. And I set the game down. And like you said, they announced the enhancement. I picked it back up about a week ago, and I played through the rest of the chunk of it. Now there's 60 frames. It's nice to have that fluid movement and that whole presentation. That game's crazy. That I actually lost my temper a few times. I don't know if people think of the Plague Tale Innocence as a hard game, but there's some trial and error. It doesn't hold your hand. You just kind of have to figure it out by dying. And I died so many times in the last couple segments, which you'll get to. There's kind of a boss thing. And I don't really lose my temper, but when I'm playing, I'm like, what? That was like that's me at my worst. But I got through it. That's a great game. So I've been playing that. And
have you ever broken a controller playing any game?
No.
I've broken one. Soul Calibur 2 on the PlayStation 2. I broke my PlayStation 2 controller because there were like these challenges you had to get through. That's the only time and then I was like, I need to chill out.
Did you like spike it or something on the ground?
I think I hit it over my knee, and it like cracked, and then it just never worked right again. But
your knee survived, but not
my knee was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who...
Chat should tell us if they've ever broken a controller. I'd love to hear
I would love to see the chat's reaction, because we talked to a lot of people, and they kind of vary whether they get really mad or if they're cool. And I used to play Black Ops 2 with a friend every night. We had so much fun, and one time he spiked his controller on the floor, and he said it went into like 30 pieces. And then another night, he grabbed his Turtle Beach headset. Remember whenever he bought those $100 sets? And he said he pulled it like Hulk, like this.
Oh my God.
He said it ripped apart with all the wires. And he goes, I guess we're not playing online anymore. I'm like, what the heck?
I couldn't do that. Like, this is an Astros. I love Astros. I've always stuck by that. And I could never break this headset out of anger,
Yeah, I mean, for me, gaming is such an escape. I would never lose my temper and break something that I love so much. We have pricey TVs in front of us. We have expensive $60 to $70 controllers that we don't want to throw down on the ground. I hear people saying I put a hole in the wall. I haven't really been watching the chat, but as much as I can. But yeah,
a lot of people have broken controllers.
Yeah, I also do a thing. If I get really mad, I'll snap at the TV, but that's very rare. But yeah, I do okay.
I'm much better at anger management since the PS2 days.
Yeah, I think you kind of grow up. I had a friend when we used to play on the NES. He was playing Super Mario Brothers 3 or 2. I think it was 3. And he kept dying, and he threw his controller at the, wired, threw that little square, that rectangular controller at the NES. And it hit it and popped open the flip-up thing, and the cartridge popped up. And he went... And he just froze because he knew that he had just ruined... There's no save back then. So, like, he got so mad that he just reset his whole game, and like his temper went from I screwed up. But so let's talk about last week, since we're light on the light topics that are more happy. Last week, Xbox had that marketing ploy with All for One. I swear. Did you see this thing right away?
I did. It was silly. I laughed. And that thing blew up bigger than I ever expected. I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. But then like everybody was talking about it. And I'm like, I like the cover. Like it's a catchy cover, but I wasn't like I didn't make a video about it. You know, what am I going to say? Yeah.
Dude, was it stuck in your head? Like for 3 days, I was ruined. I've never liked that song. I'm older than you, so that song came out when I was in high school, and I was like, oh, that song's so dumb. So I was like too cool for All for One, but I was good with Jodeci and stuff like that. So when I saw All for One, I'm like, oh my gosh. So my wife and I were watching it, and we're like, did they overdub it, or is that now? And then I noticed one of the singers, you know, has kind of wrinkles like me because they're like my age. And I thought, oh my gosh, they actually commissioned this. I see Paris in the chat. I know he was having a good time with the All for One thing. And yeah, not my favorite R&B group for sure. Like we were more on the real OG R&B groups like Jodeci and Shy and stuff like that. But that was so funny. But that was a big deal. So some people got kind of mad about that. Like the other side,
really?
I guess. Yeah, like
people
there was
always,
like, you know,
people always get mad about things apparently.
Yeah, like why are people excited about this, or why are they enjoying that? And Xbox sent out a couple little trinkets, a couple like cool little giveaways to push this.
Yeah,
this
you know.
thing about...
Did you get that? Did you get the trinkets?
No.
I saw a bunch of people did, and the internet does this thing now where they're like, I know you get all this stuff from Xbox. I didn't get anything from Xbox. Like I didn't get the.
Oh, they do.
I didn't get the controller for the iPhone or any of that. I don't get any of that stuff. I was sent a Series X console and a PlayStation 5 console for IGN, and like those are the only things that I've been sent from. I guess that would you consider marketing-y, and I did the unboxings. You can go check those out on IGN, and nothing since then.
Dang it! How do you get on this list? Right, Paris in the chat. He got the '90s like pink and light blue and yellow.
Some people dig that jacket. Actually, not exactly my style.
Yeah, but you know, Paris is rocking it, and they sent a little mini boom, like I guess it's maybe a boom box. It looks like a boom box. But yeah, Xbox is having fun with that new controller and stuff.
I think the marketing's great, personally. Like even if it's not a song that I was crazy about or anything like that, it was funny. It made me laugh, and then you know they're going to do other stuff. But a lot of people had a really good time with it, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, and we kind of forgot about it. Was all about All Access, something not a lot of us talk about because
All Access is an incredible program. It gives you. Yeah, it's one of the things when they were revealing the new consoles, I was talking with my colleagues about it, and I'm just like, hey, this is a really good deal. It's basically like a cell phone plan. I think you pay, I'm going to guess the numbers here. I think it's $29.99 a month, and you get an Xbox Series X or an S. I can't remember which one.
The S price. For 30.
The S for 30. You get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And that's what you pay. And I think about people with families. Like I think about when my son's older and he wants to play games. That's like a really nice way to have that second console, especially if you're strapped for cash. You need a credit score of like somewhere in the 600s, I believe. But I actually think it's a great program. And honestly, I wish more companies did it.
Yeah, I think it's 35 for the X and 30. We're close enough. I think it's like 35. Yeah, it's a little bit more per month for the X. And the funny thing about it is you don't pay any extra if you were going to go buy a console in the store and then pay every month for Game Pass Ultimate.
You end up paying
The only
less.
thing you miss out on is like some special deal. Like if there's some hot deal at a store and there's a discount on Game Pass Ultimate, you're basically paying just face value with there's no interest as long as you pay for it every month.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's just something.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think you pay $50 less. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, is it?
Face value, though.
Okay, yeah, and the only problem with it is it was going to be a great vehicle, but the consoles are so constrained as far as their supply that people can't just jump in and sign up for this and get one right away. At least if you're looking for, Strike Gaming says 25 for the Series S. It's even better. 35 for the X. Yeah. I mean, you're getting with Game Pass Ultimate. You're getting here's our commercial, right, Destin? You're getting Xbox Live Gold plus Game Pass plus access to the PC games. in Game Pass. So yeah.
Well, and if you already have an Xbox Series X or Series S, for only $1, you can get 3 months of Xbox.
Haven't you done enough already?
That was a fun week. That was a fun week, and then the day after wasn't so fun, and then I just stopped using Twitter.
You mean you got to enjoy the spoils of all the people really riding the hype train and enjoying the meme. Then the next week everyone was mad at you for riding the hype train and enjoying the meme.
The Game Pass thing put me on everybody's radar. Let's just say that. So now I think more people are aware that I'm doing YouTube videos and stuff, which is good and it's bad because
no, that is really good. Already on everybody's radar.
Well, you get the ghost thing that happened today as an example, right? Like if you watch the video, I'm like, I don't care about director's cuts. I don't care about like director's cuts. They're fine. The Icky Island DLC is totally worth the price alone, but I find it a little odd. And this was my exact phrasing. I said, I find it a little odd that you're hiding like PlayStation features like DualSense triggers and 3D audio and stuff behind a paywall. And I just think that like it's weird that that's an extra $10 to activate those things. And the internet has been giving me shit all day about it. And that always makes me wonder. So like when people are really angry at you, it's just like, what did I get wrong about the video? Because when I watched the video back later on in the day, and I'm like, I feel like tonally, like I'm saying Sucker Punch, I get it. They deserve the money for the island upgrade.
Gosh,
the island upgrade
but they don't hear
great.
That.
You know, they don't hear that. I'm like, I took point with the odd upgrade structure. I think it's weird because it's like if I tell you I guess it's not that weird. But if you already own the game, you can upgrade for $30 on the PS5. If you don't own the game, it's $70 for the Director's Cut edition. If you own the PS4 version of the game, it's $20, and then you have to pay $10 for the PS5 features. And yeah. So okay. The only part that's weird to me is that, like, let's say it's just odd to me that included with all the good stuff are core PlayStation 5 features like DualSense triggers, 4K textures, 4K at 60, and it's like 3D audio. That's included with all the good stuff. So all the good stuff is totally fine. I get that. Adding those 3 things though as a sales proposition for the content is odd to me because I feel like on the Xbox ecosystem, you just get all that stuff, right? Like you get 120 hertz or 60 hertz or all the graphic option things because you bought the box, right? And then PlayStation's like
on PC,
yeah, just like on PC. If I throw in a new graphics card and I install the 4K texture pack, I'm more likely going to be able to run it 4K 60 native. You probably won't be able to run it 4K 60 native because you need a really powerful machine to do that. But the point is, it's just odd to me. It's weird, and it's just sort of like it seems like a weird marketing thing to me, and that's the point I was trying to make in the video.
Okay, let me ask you a question. First of all, when did that video go up about Ghost?
Went up yesterday at 7.
Yesterday, okay.
Yeah.
And that is great that you went back today and watched it again because I've done the same thing. I've put out videos. Let me do an aside. Actually, this is interesting when you say you went back and listened to your video. I put out a video a couple years ago, right before Crackdown 3 launched. You're like, oh no, don't talk about Crackdown 3. But I did a video saying, let's compare Infamous Second Son from Sucker Punch to Crackdown 3's visuals because they're 2 open world, colorful games that are exclusive to each of the competing platforms. And I got a lot of hate over that. And I'm like, yeah, that's a kind of a dumb comparison. But when I went back and I put that video 2 years ago, I went back and listened to it yesterday, and I gave all this praise and gave all of the advantage to Infamous Second Son. I didn't give like hardly any of the gold stars over to Crackdown other than I don't know, a bigger city or something, but like that. Mm-hmm. But listening to that video back when I feel like I was even more biased than I am now, I was really giving all of the props to the PlayStation game. But the hate that came in for that, so I think it's partly what you could be seeing, that the community's so divided. But what I was going to ask you about, I want to know what your take is. Do you think that you're paying that $10 extra is because PlayStation said if it's a PS5 game, you're paying $10 more.
You're paying $70.
Or is it, yeah, 10 more? Well, I want to ask about the $10. Or do you think there's a $10 upgrade for the next gen features? Like, how are they? I don't know how they're navigating that, and I think that's probably why people get so upset about.
I'm not even upset. I just said it's weird. It's a weird way to sell your piece of content, right? I don't feel like they needed to do that. You could say the Icky Island. If anybody knows how to say it, please tell me, because I'm embarrassed that I keep getting it wrong. Anyway, if you get the Island DLC, that alone is worth $30.
Yes.
Like upgrading it, all that stuff. But to see in the marketing materials that using your DualSense is also on there. And people are like, well, you have, memberships on YouTube activated. You do the same thing. And I'm like, I think a more comparable, if my memberships on YouTube allowed people to play the video at normal speed, then I think you can make that correlation. But it doesn't, right? Or like allows them to turn their volume up all the way. Like those would be comparable aspects, because that's they're locking audio features and they're locking controller features.
Yeah.
Features behind this $10 thing. And it's weird to me, but I do praise them because like they enhanced all these games. They make sure they run at 60 and everything, their base PS4 versions, but the PlayStation to like outright deny that the PlayStation 5 has no issues and it's just the best console ever made and there's nothing wrong with it and we shouldn't question any of the decisions Sony made. That's odd. And people are like, well, why don't you ever question Xbox? Why don't you question Xbox before you were making videos about this topic from a year and a half ago? And I'm like, I started in March and I did question Xbox in the Xbox One era for the resolution gate crap. Pardon my language. Yeah, exactly. So like, yes, I did. And I will continue to do so. But right now, I got to be honest. I fully admit, I do feel like I am pretty biased towards Xbox right now. It's hard to find faults in what they're doing. I feel like they have created such a pro-consumer ecosystem that I'm incredibly excited for. And that's what I'm trying to convey with my content. And I feel like Sony has a lot to figure out there. I feel like they need to offer better services with PlayStation Now. I don't like the $70 thing. And a lot of people point out how EA and Activision got on board with that. Yeah, they did. Halo Infinite's coming out this fall and it's $60. So not everybody is on board with the whole $70 thing. Activision, EA, and Sony are. And if you're saying, look, Activision's doing it and I love everything Activision's doing, I'm like, okay, you're going to like EA was rated the worst company ever, like 5 years in a row. And Activision just gave Bobby Kotick like $156 million bonus after laying off 900 employees. You're going to lump those in with what Sony's doing?
It's like, such a lose-lose situation.
That's even worse. Like to say, well, EA and Activision are doing it. I'm like, I don't think that's making Sony look good,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Activision, EA, and
the $70 price tag thing.
Yes, and 2K is doing it as well, and then PlayStation. And I would say those are some of the biggest gaming publishers in the world. PlayStation is one of the biggest gaming publishers in the world, and they are setting the standard that $70 is the new price. And thankfully, as far as we know, not most of the publishers aren't following suit. Destin, you're incredible. Like your trajectory of topics we're talking about is like sliding all the way into the set of topics that we have in hand. So I'm just going to kind of maneuver around naturally because you're kind of pointing us in the right direction in different orders. So we'll just work with it because it's perfect.
My bad.
No, it's perfect. I think it's great. I'll just rearrange like what we're going to talk about because I think this works well. Because I wanted to ask you, I put up a tweet saying that Starfield is going to be a big, possibly 100-hour game. It will be cross-generation, maybe it won't. It will probably, I guess it'll probably only be on the Xbox Series X and PC, but it will have all full feature sets for what I think will be $59.99. And I got quite a few people who said, what makes you think Bethesda's new games are going to be $69 or $59.99? So I wanted to ask you from the outside, where are you thinking that Bethesda, who will self-publish, will price their games?
Are they self-publishing? I mean, they're owned by Microsoft now, so $59.99 would be my guess.
Yes. So they are marketing their own games and pushing them out, and I think their publishing arm is still doing their work under Xbox. But Deathloop will come out on the PS5 for $70.
Yeah, no pre-orders up. No pre-orders up for Starfield. I just Googled it.
So I haven't even checked, but is Deathloop on the PSN store?
Well, it would be 70, right?
I think so. I haven't checked. But it's kind of funny to think about a game like, let's see if I can talk while I work here.
$79.99. Or on sale with PlayStation Plus for $71.99 for the deluxe edition. Is the first thing that came. It's $59.99. $59.99 for standard.
But why does it have the PS Plus logo? Is it?
You get a discount with PlayStation Plus.
Oh, down to $54. Okay, so
it means there's features. Yeah.
Okay, so Deathloop on PS5 will launch at $60, but PlayStation's games that come from their first party will be, well, I mean, Housemarque wasn't first party when it came out. That was a $70 game. Hey, that's interesting. So I guess that's probably our proof right there that I think that Bethesda's Starfield will be $60. That's really interesting. What were you looking at? You were we did it. Yeah, we did it. I'm sure a million people looked that up before, but yeah, I was just surprised that people would argue with me that the Bethesda game would come out at $70 because they get to make their own decision, I suppose. Hey, I guess I'll reset for those of you just joining us. This is the XNC podcast. I'm here with Destin Legarie of IGN and his own YouTube channel. What are you up to now, Destin, for subscribers? You were at like 40,000.
66,000. I was at 40,000 last time I was on here. So thank you to anybody who subscribed.
That's like a 15,000 per month growth, which is totally amazing. But I'm here at Destin Legarie. We've got over 1,000 people watching. We're on YouTube watching the show live, and we've got quite a few people in the chat. I've got a couple super chats I want to get to. I'm sure people have questions for you as well, Destin, as we go along. But you can also listen to us on demand on Google, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. That show will be up for people to listen to in their Walkmans as they go do their thing about an hour after the show is up. Let's take a look at what the chat's been alive. I haven't even watched the chat. We start off with Gaz from Game On Daily, who just wanted to say for $5, I'm not wearing any clothes. And if you know the guy, he's crazy. Loves to make people laugh. Brigadier Blue says, first Monday off since I started my new job. Ooh, that's pins and needles, man. Can't wait to see what XNC has for us tonight. Love the show. Happy I can catch it live this week. Hargate Johnny says, Destin, was curious how you're allowed to do. Oh, that's a great question. How you're allowed to do YouTube videos outside of IGN and gaming. Mm-hmm. I thought that's why Greg had to leave for Kind of Funny Games.
I've been doing this for 5 years. It's like an agreement that we come to. I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about contracts and stuff like that, but basically it's on the up and up. Like, so yeah.
So yeah, you've been doing this for a long time.
Good example is like, and I talked about it in like the channel update video I just did a few days ago. Like, if somebody wants to sponsor me, I have to get that approved first. So like that would be an odd issue, right? So like I got to be really careful about talking about the topic, but the point is, it's like a thing. I actually encourage it, and I'm actually the one who wrote a lot of the stuff about it, because like we're hiring people now, and they're like, hey, I have a Twitch channel, what do I do? And the answer used to be, gotta shut it down. But I'm like, so you want somebody with 200,000 subscribers on Twitch to shut it down and then just do stuff for IGN? Like I think we gain more value by allowing that person to continue to be happy in their personal hours, and then be a part of IGN during the day, right? So we started talking about it. I'm getting a little nervous talking about this topic because I don't know what I'm supposed to say. But basically, it increases the value of IGN, and the person gets to be happy while they're at the company. And I, as a manager, I always try and work towards empowering people to do the best work they possibly can at IGN and still be able to have a fulfilling life outside of their work hours.
Yes, and I can talk about it because I don't work there, but there is a conflict of interest if you bring on a content creator and he or she says something that's, not parallel with what the company you work for would want, that could put them in some sort of liability. But it would be an interesting thought. I'm sure you've thought about, why not bring a content creator in and let them fold their content into, like, if Jerry Egg 37 has a really popular YouTube channel, bring him in and he could be affiliated with IGN while remaining who he is, or he or she. But yeah, that's all business stuff that's way beyond what we would want to talk about. But yeah, it's interesting because you're doing what you're able to do, where you can talk about gaming news and reach a great audience and grow and continue to do the stuff you do professionally. So I think you've got a nice setup and people really appreciate it. I hear about it a lot. So
I like it. For me, I really needed an outlet just to say my personal opinion about things. And I would probably lose my mind if I wasn't able to do that, right? Even if it gets me in hot water like it did today. I said my piece. A lot of people have actually poked some holes in my issue with it, which I kind of appreciate, because it sort of keeps me on my toes and it makes me think, like, maybe it's not as cut and dry as I thought. And I don't know. That's sort of my 2 cents on it. Like,
yeah, and I also,
but there were a lot of people being awfully toxic too. And I'm at that point where I'm just like, I think I'm just going to start blocking people on Twitter. Like, this just isn't worth my energy to utilize anymore. And I don't like to block people. I usually just, if it's really annoying, I mute them, but then you still see all the mentions and everything. So I don't know. One dude tweeted about me like 20 times in the period of a few hours. And I'm like, this is creeping me out. Mm-hmm. I gotta block this person. So yeah,
but really excites people to get the goat of somebody who has a lot of eyes on them. Eventually, I don't know. I think it's strange that people have they have a problem with blocking people, but
I don't like to, because you never get a chance to. I think it's important to listen to people you disagree with, right? But the problem is, like, somebody will make a really good point, but then they got to have that like crappy insult dig at your person, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you made a really good point, but then you post some really crappy meme or just something to sort of like twist the knife, right? And I'm like, well, now I don't even want to talk to you, because like you're going into like just frustration and anger. So I'll just usually shut it off at some point and come back to it like a few hours later.
Yeah, I guess that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's really annoying when you have that many eyes on you and then someone wants to make an insult because they know all those people will see it. But
people will do this now. They'll make a post and they'll tag all the main people who are like if I like the Ghost video, they'll tag all the PlayStation people.
They'll tag all the people with the baseball bat with the nails in it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, and I've also tried to go away from that. I put up a little. I sat here in my studio and recorded a 2-minute speech last week that got 40,000 views on Twitter, where I just said, we'll talk."
I like that.
Did you happen to see it?
I did. Yeah, I really like that.
We're going to talk about that toward the end, but just the occasion where someone says, "I don't agree with you, Colt. Here's my stance why," and they make a really good point, and then they end it with, "Why do you have to stretch the truth that way?" And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on! Like, I'm not trying to stretch the truth. Like, if
why are you a liar?"
Yeah, I get the whole lie thing. But Purple Haze 4564 says, "When are we going to get that Arkham Knight FPS boost with 4K resolution?" Never, I think. He says, "Destin, what's up, bro? Also, where the heck is more Scorn gameplay or a release?" Which is supposed to be 2021. I just covered this.
Do you think Scorn's still coming out in 2021, Colt?
I mean, the way you're saying that, I'm getting scared.
They've been awfully quiet. They've been so quiet. Makes me worried, man.
They've been quiet for a year and a half. You guys put up an 8-minute gameplay, 8 or 12-minute gameplay segment. I don't know who posted that. I think it
Ryan
was
handles our IGN first, so Ryan probably coordinated that with BT.
So that was like a long extended to shout out to him.
Yeah,
long extended gameplay clip, but nothing. They've been really quiet.
Makes me nervous.
I don't know
because I want that game. That game looks great.
Is that going to be a slow
creepy
burner? Like kind of like a slow, be careful, watch around the corner. It doesn't seem like a high clip at all, like Twitch shooter whatsoever.
I think it would be very slow paced. Like even the reload mechanics are slow, and that's to like as a design strategy to make you feel more vulnerable while you're doing those animations and things. Like every motion has to be considered.
Yes. And it's got some puzzle stuff in it too. So
I got to give xWolf a shout out. Hi xWolf. He's a member on my channel.
Awesome. Yeah, and thank you for supporting our channels, those of you who are members or here just chatting and watching the show. We appreciate it. Let's see, I've got Kratos FGC says, a new IP called Motorbike Horizon. What do you think? This goes into, we'll actually let that bounce into the next subject, which is a quick one. Forza Horizon had a little update today. I don't know if you'd had time. You probably haven't had time, but they did a little short for Forza Horizon 5.
I saw the screenshots, but I wanted to dig into that and figure out what else was going on.
Okay. So what they did was an audio segment about how they recorded the cars. I'll kind of paint the picture for you guys who haven't seen it, but they took these expensive microphones and duct taped them to racing cars, like on the back, on the trunk, and pointed them down towards the muffler or the exhaust. They taped mics inside the cabin in the cockpit of the car, on the side, and kind of wrapped them in all kinds of things to keep wind noise out of them and get all kinds of engine noises. They talked about how they record different rev cycles and superchargers and turbos. And are you a car guy, Destin? Am I?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Do you have a car?
I have a car. I drive it.
Okay. Yeah. So some really cool nerdy stuff that really gets into the clinks and clanks of everything that goes on under a car. And it seems like
those aren't good noises, actually. Clinks and clanks.
Clinks and clanks. You know, the valve covers slapping in there, and I know just enough for a car to keep running. But yeah, no, it's great. So they're pretty excited. They're bringing in 3D audio to Forza Horizon 5, so you can hear the sound. $10 upgrade.
Sorry, everybody. Got to pay 10 extra bucks for that.
You get it? That's the point I'm making. Like, that's weird. That would be weird, right?
Yeah. Rumble triggers and 3D audio cost extra. Can you imagine that? Yeah, no. So this looks pretty cool. They're only talking about audio. It seems like before, the sounds were pretty dang good in Forza Horizon series, but they kind of explained how to kind of use some algorithms and some calculations to get all of the cars covered, and now they have a lot more customizable, like true to life for that car model. And then the upgrades, they have an upgrade screen where you can choose superchargers and different camshafts and everything, and you can rev with right trigger to hear the change as you make the upgrade to preview it. So you can get really super nerdy in that, but that's more updates for that game. So
that's cool. That's cool.
That's going to be a good one. I've got hundreds of hours in this series, and I'm ready for the next one. Let's see. We have Carlos Alvarado says, Returnal's Director's Cut will be $10. Oh, my goodness. Let's talk about Director's Cut. This is another topic that has been talked about today. Hideo Kojima has
Even he doesn't like the term.
Lead this. What did our good friend Hideo Kojima say about the director's cut for Death Stranding?
Basically, he said he doesn't like the term director's cut because it doesn't convey what it actually is. And I don't know. You probably have the tweet like up handy to read verbatim, but the long and the short of it is that's what I took away from it. He doesn't feel like it accurately conveys what they are selling. And am I wrong?
No. Go, you're good. I don't have it up, and I have as much memory of what he said as you do, so I can fill in the blanks. Yeah,
that's it. That was my takeaway from it. Did I get it right?
Yes, he said that a director's cut implies that they've cut content out to make it shorter, and he's actually brought stuff in that had to be cut from the game for full release. So, which implies or means that they're adding stuff to the game. So, how much is the director's cut extra than it would be normally? This is kind of...
His $10 price point is perfect. I feel like for Death Stranding, the $10 upgrade path, that's right where it should be. With Ghosts, I think $20 is a really good point. They could even do 30. I don't even mind the 30. Again, the thing that's weird is when you have base console features lumped in with all that other good stuff, right? Like, I'm not totally anti-director's cut. Like, look, if they wanna upgrade those PS4 games for free, get them up to 60, running at 1860 or whatever, great. And then with director's cut, if they're gonna add a bunch of stuff and charge you a little bit more money, okay, sure. For me, I feel like it's an old system. Like, I'm a huge Metal Gear fan, right? I have 5 copies or something stupid of Metal Gear 2 because they kept re-releasing that game with like little things that were just a little bit much better. And I feel like we're kind of entering that world again where, I don't know. It's just, we're at that point where you have the PS4 console generation that Sony doesn't want to leave behind and the PS5 console generation. So I think the marketing's tricky. I think the marketing's tricky for them.
Okay, one I didn't think about that till you said it. Why aren't some of those features passed on for free, like the 3D audio, the haptic feedback, and I guess it's the Japanese dub stuff that's been improved.
Japanese dub. And they don't exist. They're all hardware.
Why won't that go into... Because I have Ghost of Tsushima on my PS5, and it gets the 60 frames upgrade, and it runs at PS4 Pro settings. So it'd be absolutely phenomenal that way. But why don't those features come in? I have to pay for the director's cut to get that plus new content. Because Xbox guys may not want to hear it, but I think it absolutely needs to be said that Hivebusters DLC for Gears 5 was $20, and it was only 3 hours no matter how you played it. It was linear. You couldn't stretch it out unless you just continued to die. It was a 3-hour campaign that was really great, but it was $20 for 3 hours, and Ghost of Tsushima's Icky Island, as we call it, is probably 12 to 15 hours gameplay, right?
It's worth 30. It's worth $30, right?
Yeah, they just need to separate that. We're charging you extra because you're getting the full PS5 experience.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's just weird. That's all I'm saying, is that it's weird. That's it. But yeah, that's all.
Well, and I know because you're contrasting it against how Xbox says smart delivery. We want to give you upgrades like Sea of Thieves, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, and one other game got full 4K, 60, 120 hertz, auto HDR, all this stuff. Well, I think those games already had HDR. But you're getting all these upgrades for free. Yeah. So that's this disparity.
Yeah, like Ghostless, 4K adaptive resolution. So if you're playing the PS4 version of Ghost right now on your PS5, yes, you get 60. But if you're playing at 60, you're playing at a base of 1080p. And if you're playing, I'm referencing the Digital Foundry video. If you're playing at 30, you're currently at a native resolution of 1800p, right? So the 4K stuff is only on the PlayStation 5 version of the game. And I have to imagine that the PS4 version will still be utilizing those previous resolutions, maybe with new textures. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it or what the difference is there. So one of the things they list included as a PS5 feature is 4K at 60, which will probably actually be just sub 2160 at 60. You know, I can imagine they can get pretty close.
I just don't think it's worth it to push this thing that causes people to, you know, wrinkle their forehead and wonder if PlayStation's doing it right when the competition is offering all these things to try and be more consumer centric. But I don't think that PlayStation can just say, you know what, the $70 thing, the $10 banger tax, as I call it, it's not worth the headache. But I think they have to stay committed to that, or they look like you can't back up on something like that.
I think you're kind of right. They're in a spot where they've committed to the $70 price tag for better or worse. It's not going away anytime soon. And one of the points somebody was bringing up on Twitter is those features do not come to the PS4 version. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like, that's up to whoever's watching or buying the game to determine. But that $70 price tag is there to stay. So no matter what, you are not going to get access to controller features, audio features, 4K apparently, unless you pay that $10 entry fee. And it's a strategy I think PlayStation is going to utilize for the rest of the console generation.
Oh, of course.
And I can compare it mostly to Apple versus Android. Now, maybe Xbox gamers won't like that comparison, but I would say that Android offered a better suite of services for their customers than Apple. Everything's locked on your Apple device. Only if Apple makes it and Apple signs off on it do you get access to a lot of different things, right? Mm-hmm. Or only if Apple allows it to happen. Like xCloud stuff was on the Android way before it was on Apple for that exact reason. They had to figure out how to work around Apple's restrictions. Mm-hmm. And I think PlayStation is PlayStation's strategy. AAA experiences, the premier experience at a cost is PlayStation's strategy. And Xbox's strategy is, let's give people the best experience they can possibly get at a reasonable entry fee.
Yeah, that's true, because it's not just Xbox that does it, Destin. Fun Speculation in the chat says other publishers are doing this well, and I thought about Metro Exodus has a full suite, ray tracing, performance mode on PlayStation and Xbox and PC. They get this upgraded version for free. Mm-hmm. So it really is a very few set of people who decide to charge a premium for an upgrade. The other difficult part about this, Destin, is that these developers have to put in a certain amount of time of their time that the studio works in to make the new version of the game.
Yeah, can I say, sorry, I'll let you finish, but that was actually one thing people were saying, that I don't support developers, and that really pisses me off, because yes, I absolutely support developers. I think the content is worth the $30. I absolutely support Sucker Punch. I've repeatedly said the developers are doing great work. This is Sony strategy that I take issue with, not with the developers. The developers are making fantastic content. They earn the praise and the accolades that they get on whatever platform they're releasing on. And I just wanted to say my little piece on that really quick, because it makes me mad when people call me anti-developer, because that is the furthest thing from the truth. And
that does happen, because I've spoken up about, I have a question mark on the end of this about the charging. Then people say, well, Colt doesn't want these developers to get paid for their work. And I am aware that sometimes it takes a couple work days. Sometimes it takes longer. Like Metro Exodus, they said they were working on that for quite a while. But they didn't charge for it. So I don't know where the difference is, but I know that PlayStation has drawn that line in the sand, that there's a $10 fee to get the PlayStation 5 experience when you're used to be on the PS4. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
No, you bring up a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. And that's one of those things where people are poking holes sort of in my thesis statement, so to speak. And I'm like, you're bringing up good points. And when you talk to me, like you just talked to me, I'm more receptive. I'm more likely to hear you. Twitter doesn't allow those conversations to happen. Twitter is, you're the devil or you're perfect in every way. There's no in between. There's no conversation. There's no benefit of the doubt. It's either or, and that's all you get, right? And that's why I went back and watched the video. I'm like, was I really that harsh on PlayStation for this one? No, I wasn't. I said it's a little weird. I literally said it's a little weird or a little odd. And that was like my damning statement. So, yeah.
Well, people just don't like that controversy or that differing opinion. I just feel like, and I'm guilty of it too sometimes, that people will sit back on Twitter and go, take that, and I do it sometimes too. And I'm always like, please, be nice, treat people with respect. Don't call people names. But sometimes we go, well, I know better than you, and send. And the only issue is you have a lot of eyes on you. So when you get a lot of those, a few of these, like, take that, kind of add up. And maybe people aren't used to it. Unfortunately, that's just how you get reactive sometimes. And why people have to make it a personal thing, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I don't mean to make this a people were mean to me on Twitter episode of your show, by the way. Sorry.
No, but I did.
Yeah.
Destin and I were talking right before we went live, and I knew about this Ghost of Tsushima thing, and I said, let's talk about it, because him and I both know that when you're on Twitter, you have 136 characters, whatever it is, and you can't really convey your opinion unless you do a thread, and even that gets lost in translation. So it's good to just talk about it. And if people just listened and had a chance to talk a little bit more often, just kind of relax a little bit, maybe they wouldn't be so crazy.
I want to go on a PlayStation show. I never get invites to PlayStation shows.
Well, yeah, you should. I've been on a couple of them. I've been on some PlayStation shows where all PlayStation guys, and they're surprised. PlayStation isn't my preferred platform, but I play on it, several months during the year for their games, and I like the games. I like the exclusives.
Like Ratchet and Clank, Returnal. Yeah, a lot of good PlayStation stuff.
Yeah, I'm almost
Biggie says, I wonder why. Yeah, because I like Xbox, I guess.
Yeah, Insomniac Games replied to me today because they said something about, let's get out there and collect the bolts, and I said, or overcharge cans, because I set the game to collect overcharge cans instead of nuts and bolts. And they replied back to me and said, that works too. And then somebody goes, oh no, the PlayStation guys are going to be mad because they responded to Colt. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not always like that.
The Insomniac team is they're awesome. They're a really nice bunch of people, and they're very humble. And I have a ton of respect for the work that they've done on Spider-Man, on Ratchet and Clank. And
they just get it, they really do.
Yeah,
they really just know how to get it done. This next super chat's a little spicy, but his name is I Pity PlayStation Peasants. He says 8 months and still no fix to the PlayStation rest mode bug. I don't have that problem, but you know what I do, Destin? I just leave mine on when I'm done and let it power off on its own. I've never had a problem.
Is he talking about Returnal?
I think he's talking about there's a problem if you go into rest mode, your console can go, hey, something didn't go right. I have never had the problem because I don't power it off. I just let it sit in inactivity for an hour and it just powers itself off. But I don't know. It's been 8 months and Xbox hasn't had very many super great exclusives, but this end of this year is going to be absolutely packed. What are you looking forward to playing come this fall and holiday on the Xbox?
Well, I mean, Forza, because it's confirmed, but more than that, Halo Infinite. I remember on the last episode, I talked about how I have tons of faith in Halo Infinite, and I think it's going to win people over by the end of the year. And then E3 happened now, and a lot of people changed their tune, and I was really, really happy to be right. Yeah, that's right. Legarie was right for now. The full game's not out yet.
Did you know how wrong I was before E3? Did you hear about what happened to me?
No, what'd you say?
I heard from a really trusted person that was talking to testers saying that the game...
Corden. No,
oh my God, Destin!
I'm just guessing.
No, my reaction was I don't know who Jez Corden is. You're so funny. I'd heard that the game didn't look very improved from the 2020 build. And so I said, don't expect it to look next level or top tier. And there were some articles written about me from my video, and I took some heat. But then it was a week later that the E3 showcase, and the game looks fantastic. And what an excellent thing to be wrong about. That campaign looks nice too, right?
I was really excited about the campaign, and people were like, well, it's not really gameplay. That was not their intention. Their intention was very pointed. They wanted to show that they can do narrative storytelling and showcase stellar graphics. That was the main criticism from the last presentation. So they're like, okay, well, let's show a really impactful scene, show you a little bit about what's happening with the new Cortana, and show the emotion that Chief can evoke through this piece that is additionally a graphical showcase. I loved how they handled the campaign aspect, and the multiplayer looks awesome. Free. Yes. It's also free. That's pretty crazy. So I'm really stoked about Halo Infinite, more so than I was before. I do hope they get it right. We still haven't played it. It could still be a bit of a dud. But I played 20 games of Halo 5 and a few of Halo 4 after that reveal. Yeah, because I was so stoked.
I was playing Warzone Firefight on Halo 5 after the reveal, and I was like, oh gosh, this game still feels great. And you know that moment when he talked to I don't know if they said that we call the new Cortana, and I got like this like lump in my throat for a moment. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. And a lot of people have grown up with Master Chief. Like they were young kids when the series came out, and they feel like they've grown with Master Chief, and like there's this emotional connection that is really only reserved for the big Game of the Year contenders. And it's one thing that a lot of Xbox games don't have, is that big emotional tie, and it needs a little bit of that in Halo just to keep it up there with the memorable experiences. Like the game graphics and gameplay can be phenomenal, but if you feel for this pilot and what's going on with Cortana and John for Master Chief, like that could be something really great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely stoked.
Wolf Assassin says, with Sony having a controversy every month since last June, I kind of agree with him. Little controversies. How does it feel for Xbox? Biggest controversy in the last 14 months was the Xbox Live price hike, which they changed in one day. Destin, where were you and what were you wearing when that happened?
It was over before I realized it was a thing, because they...
Oh, really?
Yeah, they addressed it like within a day, right? So I was
think
like...
8 hours. 8 hours or something.
Yeah, so I was like...
Morning and then evening it was over.
Nothing had happened. There was like something went live and they're like, we're not going to do that. And it was like over. Right? So, I mean, that was it. That was my reaction to it. I was like, oh, they fixed it already. Cool.
Yeah, it was the intent that still bothers people, even to this day, that Xbox was willing to basically double Xbox Live just because they say so. And we just spent like 30 minutes talking to...
Like, was there any was there ever documentation leak that they were going to do that, or any clear intent that they were going to do that conveyed? Because I don't really know what happened with it. There was.
Yes, what happened was a leaked screenshot, or someone took a screenshot of the storefront changing the price, which essentially doubled it. Mm-hmm. And people started to freak out, and then Xbox started responding. So it was definitely a thing. Like, they had to say, we're sorry, it was a wrong call. I think Phil Spencer was the one that stepped up with a tweet in the evening when the news was breaking in the background. Oh, actually in the front lines of social media, that they were going to hike the price. And so they said, yes, we made a wrong call. We'll do better next time. But
see, yeah, that if Sony literally did that like 2 times for 2 of these controversies, I think that the perception of these controversies that X-Wolf just laid out would be much less. Like the $25,000 indie developer thing. Sony hasn't said anything about that.
No, they haven't.
They ended up having their show, and then, you know, they highlight a lot of indie devs. I don't know if they necessarily fit that title of being an indie dev. A lot of them are you know, financially backed. So point is, I'm glad that all those developers got showtime. It's just weird that we have all these indie devs talking about how they don't appreciate how Sony handles indie devs, then they do an indie dev focused show. But all they have to do is address that, yes, we're going to look at the indie dev process for getting featured. We don't think that indie devs are easy enough to find, and we're working on it. But instead they say nothing. Xbox has this controversial moment, and in 8 hours they say, yeah, you're right, that's a bad call.
Well, is that PlayStation's way of just burying the bad news and hoping people will just move on? Because it kind of works.
I mean, yeah, probably. If I'm being totally honest, sometimes it's easier to just say nothing, right? And it'll blow over in like 2 weeks. People stop talking about it. But I mean, for me, I'm going to remember that, hey, Sony charges indie devs $25,000 to be featured on the storefront. Xbox doesn't.
Gosh. Well, obviously Xbox has a more cultivating and welcoming environment with ID at Xbox. And PlayStation used to be the home for indies. So there's a difference there. And some of the developers are speaking out about it. And I think it was like one of those things where for a couple days, everyone was really like up in arms, and then it just died down. And PlayStation didn't have to say a word. They've gone through you're right, they've gone through a lot of controversies that way, where they just stayed radio silent and let everything take care of itself.
I'm trying out this new camera. What do you think?
Okay. What are you doing?
It broke, so I'm trying to fix it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we can still hear you, of course.
My bad, everybody.
Oh, that's okay. There's been worse technical problems on the show, right? So Brandon says, what happened to the gunk? It looked awesome. I don't think it's a 2021 title. Destin, are you privy to the gunk?
It was supposed to be 2021, at least on those leaked court documents. I'm pretty sure it was 2021, and I hope it stays, because I was actually excited about the gunk. I think it serves a market that Xbox could do better in, and that's like the younger crowd, right? And I think the gunk is a great title for kids, and maybe we won't all love it, but I bet there's a lot of kids out there who have a blast suctioning gunk.
Yeah, they. It's funny when you say they need to have more kid games, when I think they need to have more mature games, but they have a bunch of like really creepy mature games lately.
Coming.
A lot of horror games coming.
The criticism about exclusives is justified. There are fewer exclusives on Xbox than PlayStation. PlayStation is ahead in that category. I'm curious what's going to happen over the next year, because now I feel like Xbox has gotten their lineup locked in, and it seems like we're just going to have a ton of great games. And the conversation, I think I said this on the last show, the conversation will change, right? And it's going to get closer to parity, which is what I want, because it means, okay, wow, like, is Xbox going to become the home for indie devs? Because they're realizing that, well, I'm not going to get any placement on Sony unless I pay $25,000 or do all this other weird stuff, right? So
yeah. Well, I don't know. When I think about some of the kid games, we always think about like what would be like the big bangers and the game of the year contenders, and you never know.
Plants vs. Zombies, I guess, would be a kid game. Yeah, there's probably games out there. I'm not in that world, so.
Yeah, in the chat, who was it? Jonas Lefevre said, "I can't wait. My kids can't wait for Slime Rancher 2." I have a kid who's 10 who loves Slime Rancher. It was like the Slime Rancher 2 reveal was huge, and I've got my 10 and 14-year-old have been bothering me every night to play Grounded. Like, they come in and beg me, and they're each in a room with an Xbox One, an Xbox One X, and I'm in here with the Xbox Series X, and we have headsets on. Oh, geez, I just lost an earbud. Anyway, we're we're playing kid games, and I've had a lot of fun. Usually I'm playing with my friends on Xbox Live, and I haven't been with them. I've been with my kids, and it's really a cool moment that I can't trade that. It's amazing. Well, you'll get to that eventually when they get older. But
just one,
they're really capable on a controller. So anyway, I'll turn this back on. But we do have some topics. I'm going to get into those. We have a bunch of super chats, but let's see where we're at on this thing. Did you see this Kojima farewell letter to PlayStation, as we'll call it? Farewell to PlayStation thing, Destin?
No, I didn't. I know you sent me all the links, but I didn't.
I didn't send you this one because it was a screenshot on my computer. But
was it a joke? Like, was it a fan
No, I'm
joke?
going to read it to you, and I'm calling it the letter to PlayStation as a colloquial term here. Let me go to it. I've got it, a screenshot of it. This is more, I think, we've been on some PlayStation subjects, but this is kind of more of an Xbox leaning thing, if you kind of read between the lines. But he said, before we close things out, on behalf of the entire Kojima Production Studio, I wanted to say thank you to the PlayStation community for all of the support you have given us over the years. You contribute so much, from sharing fan art, cosplayer outfits, and photo mode shots, to delivering helpful hints and tips to new porters. All of these efforts not only help us stay connected, they also continue to inspire us here at the studio as well. So again, we sincerely thank you. I don't have all of what he wrote, but
the screenshot that I just brought up says it was supposed to be posted on PlayStation blog.
Yes, it's from the PlayStation blog, and I looked on their blog and I couldn't find it, but he basically said things that you would say to a group when you want it.
I think it's fake.
On the blog? You don't think it's on the blog then?
No, I think it's fan made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Chad, am I wrong? Is it actually?
I would love to
PlayStation
hear the
blog?
truth on this. I just took this one at face value because it didn't sound. It sounded more like something you would say to a company that you love and respected, but you need to go somewhere else. But you didn't want to leave to not be there anymore. Jack Cliff said it's from a community manager. If he's talking about the Kojima thing, it's not from Kojima. It's from the community manager at Kojima Productions, right? Well, I mean, this kind of goes in. Let's fold this into what it was. The Xbox topic is this continued talk about Kojima working on 1 or 2 projects with the Xbox. Destin, what do you know about Kojima's rumors and this partnership
on Xbox that they signed a letter of intent?
Yeah, tell the audience here what you think.
But old Jeffy Grubb, revealed the big news. Hideo Kojima and Xbox have signed a letter of intent to work together. And that was the big news. And yep.
So it's
going to be cloud-based. He's going to work with Kim Swift, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So it's pretty much a deal. So if he's going to build an Xbox game, he's not working with PlayStation for the next 4 or 5 years. I guess that's what it'll come down to, right?
I mean, he can do 2 things at once, right? I found the blog post.
Yeah. So what is it that he's working on? Is it Metal Gear for Xbox? Is he working
that's what I want, but it's not. I would love him to do anything in the stealth genre. I think it's just something new and experimental and probably weird in the way Kojima makes weird stuff. But is it going to be a new Metal Gear? I would be very happy. Like if Xbox went to Japan, they talked to Konami and they're like, just let him make a new Metal Gear. You're not doing anything with it. You made Survive. We all know how that went, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So would Xbox have to buy the Metal Gear rights before anything could even move forward? Konami doesn't want to sell that.
I don't know how it would work.
Yeah, I don't know. But everyone wants Silent Hill, but there's rumors that the Medium team, Bloober Studios, is working on Silent Hill. Is that going to be a multiplat? Do you know much about that one?
No. I'll be honest. That one sounds far-fetched to me too.
Yeah, and this is, well, I mean, Miles Dompier of Windows Central has been repeating it over and over that he thinks that Silent Hill's being made by Bloober, and he just keeps saying it. I don't know where he's hearing this stuff, but it's funny the way that rumors fly around. But those type of games aren't my thing. I actually just watched 2 of the Fear Street movies with one of my kids, so I'm not a big fan of horror movies, and I might have to sleep with the lights on, but that's something that I don't know if it's coming to Xbox. I don't know, chat. Let me know if you're super interested in Silent Hill. I know a lot of PlayStation fans are really beloved with Silent Hill, and they want it to come back from somebody. They're looking for Blue Box Studio or whatever they're called to bring that up. Let's talk about a hot rumor that was really great a few days ago and was doused, Destin. Then this is the possibility of WB Studios bringing NetherRealm over to the Xbox side. Did you get into this discussion at all last week?
No, but it does seem like a really good partnership. We know that WB has talked about like spinning off some of their major game companies, including the company who made like the Batman games, and NetherRealm was one of those companies on the list. That was squashed. That is not happening. But had it happened, I do think Mortal Kombat and Xbox are a good partnership. I think that would have made sense to me. And just real quick, Fatal Dragon, I'll stop interrupting. My bad.
What?
Yeah. I have this bad habit. When I get excited, I interrupt a little too much. So
I mean, it's just you and I talking. We can have some interruptions. It's totally fine. Yeah, okay. Now you just threw me off my train of thought. But
would you dig Mortal Kombat on Xbox?
Well, I mean, we have Mortal Kombat already, but like the prospect of Mortal Kombat becoming a Xbox franchise going forward, or my take was for them to build a Killer Instinct v Mortal Kombat game as their next entry. And
I'm not as into that. I feel like the play styles they're pretty different. I don't know.
And there's people that love Killer Instinct more than they love Mortal Kombat and vice versa. But I don't know. It would have been nice to see NetherRealm go to Xbox, but it sounds like WB isn't willing to sell right now. and it seemed like everything was on the table because there's this whole acquisition season that Xbox era was pushing with Special Nick. So I don't know. It obviously is acquisition season with Kojima in the talks and intent, and I don't think Microsoft is done buying studios as long as Game Pass is still growing, right?
I think they'll buy more studios, but I think a lot of the companies that are being floated around, those are going to be strategic partnerships for exclusivity windows. I don't think Kojima Productions is going to go Xbox exclusive after Sony bankrolled them to start their company. You know, like I don't see that ever happening.
I mean, it is more cost effective for Xbox to kind of pay to work with a publisher for a set amount of time and deliver a game or two. But we've seen what happens when they work with a publisher in the Xbox One era and say, hey, Remedy, make us a game, and hey, Crytek, make us a game. And then, I don't know, there's more they could do. It just seems like those games just didn't hit. I'm not a big fan of ReCore. I like Rise. You know, Quantum Break was all right. I enjoyed it, but it's not like the most memorable, incredible game that I played. So I want Xbox to really make super powerful games. And I hope they're doing that with their studios. But these publishing partnerships, we've seen them do that a ton. And PlayStation's still buying studios, right?
I think they have maybe another studio, but I don't think it's going to be like, they're not going to buy WB, you know? Yeah. NetherRealm was one of those believable enough ones where I was definitely interested in what was happening. So, yeah, but are they done? Your question is, are they done buying studios? I actually don't know. They say they're not. So if the right opportunity comes along, sure. VG pointed out Mistwalker, Lost Odyssey 2, Blue Dragon 2, man, even just remaking Lost Odyssey. Now that's a director's cut I would throw $30 at.
Yeah, like, that's a big RPG. I haven't played that. That's a JRPG?
Yeah.
Lost Odyssey?
It was a really, really good 360 RPG that a lot of people talk about. JRPG, and a lot of people commend it for its storytelling.
Okay. Yeah, and it's one of those I haven't played, but I'm not like big into JRPGs, and people get mad if I don't promote JRPGs as much. But I talk about what I like to play.
You haven't played them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've played some JRPG stuff, and that sort of style just doesn't click with me. It's kind of it doesn't work with me. So I don't talk about it as much, but I do want Xbox to have a presence with Japanese-based games because I know how important it is to tons of people. So I'd never gatekeep something like that. Let's see. I got a super chat here from Hargeet Chani who says, Destin, since you're in both worlds, do you think YouTube content creators are making trad? Or I don't know. I'll fix it here. Do you think YouTube content creators are making media less relevant? Okay, traditional media. There we go. I knew I'd get that. Reading is fun, but he said trad as short for traditional. He says, Destin, do you think YouTube content creators are making traditional media less relevant? Just curious how you see both worlds. Ooh.
No, I think the sandbox is big enough for everybody to play in, to be totally honest. I think IGN does great, conference coverage, and we do a lot of cool stuff. There's challenges on both sides, right? Like Cold, you got to bust your butt to make sure that you're making video content regularly. And IGN offers a lot of really good stuff to their employees, that like health insurance,
Yeah.
That's really nice. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think the sandbox is big enough for everybody to play in, content creators and traditional media. But traditional media, who's left? Like GameSpot, IGN. Do you consider Kotaku traditional media? They're just text.
No.
Right?
I mean, people always bring up
Polygon, IGN, and GameSpot are probably the big ones. Maybe Verge, but Verge and Polygon are sort of one and the same. So yeah, and honestly, it's at a point where I would rather see more traditional media than just than them go away.
Well, I think people have to get. People are probably watching both. Like you watch an IGN video and you get the access that you wouldn't get from a content creator, because journalists will get access firsthand to first cut video, and then access to the developers and stuff like that, right? Then you go to content creator to get the opinion and maybe some of the on-hand stuff that they may be playing that's not so corporate, I guess.
The benefit to content creators is this. If you come watch my videos, you probably know where I'm going to land on a topic, and it's a one-on-one conversation. Any of the videos I make, that's something that I'm thinking about, and you're only getting my opinion. And if you go to a website like IGN and you read a review, like that's from different reviewers, right? The goal of the review product on IGN is to provide a service of informing people whether a game is good or not before they make their purchase, right? The goal for me is just to talk about a game and whether I liked it or not. But you can kind of decide which style you like more. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting topic. I don't think of it that way. Like I love having, when I did Fireteam Chat, I loved having content creators and YouTubers and influencers on my show to talk about Destiny, because they had a unique perspective that often bolstered the show. And I'm sure, you have all sorts of people on your show. You have traditional media and you have content creators also, and it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I've been able to talk to people that I can gain a total respect for just from hearing them talk for an hour about different topics and hearing their take on it. But yeah, I think you kind of need both. We rely on those, when IGN goes to E3, when you're in person, you're there with press access to these developers, and you can't go without that. I think there was a super chat earlier that said, let's see, where was it? Or maybe it was just a chat in general that said, like, ask Destin if you think that the media is biased against Xbox. No, which is a super loaded question.
Well, I think that changed since the last time it was asked to me. And the answer's maybe positively towards Xbox. I've seen so many articles about the media talking positively about Xbox. There is something going on for sure where there are definitely camps. There's a PlayStation camp and there's an Xbox camp. And when people say the media, I don't necessarily think they mean the media. I think they mean the general conversation around
the narrative,
gaming, the narrative, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I have to say something. I started my YouTube channel focused on Xbox around 2015. So that's right in the blast zone of when Xbox was just not doing it right. But I also knew as an Xbox owner that the platform offered some really great things. And so I tried to put a magnifier on those things and say, these are really enjoyable things, and this is what's great about the console. So I went through a really difficult time when Xbox was not doing things right. And so people say, Colt, do you think they have a media bias against Xbox? Even though I went through a very difficult time when Xbox wasn't trying like they are now, I feel like there's more of a double standard. Like maybe there's biased people that still prefer PlayStation. They refuse to see some of the things. But all in all, I really agree with you, Destin, that the media has really talked about the great things Xbox is doing. And of course, PlayStation is still more popular overall. And so I think that's what they feel. They feel like it's not okay until Xbox is as popular or more popular than PlayStation. Don't you kind of feel like that's how people look at it?
Yeah, I think the consensus, people are really starting to realize about the value proposition because it's undeniable. And like you and I have been talking about it for the last few months, and other people are just like, hey, Game Pass is a really good deal, and they're starting to sort of understand the strategy that Xbox is going for. It's easy to talk about how great the PlayStation games are, and it's been tricky to convey the Xbox strategy until now, when people start seeing the value that they're going to get over like the next year or so for the product, day one releases and everything, So yeah, I think it's switched a little bit.
It's going to take time, though. That's the thing. Like,
of course,
Xbox is really finally. Like I keep saying, they really sat in the dugout for quite a while with very little funding to be a big force in the gaming industry, and things have changed. It's going to take a while because those games haven't come out yet. They start coming out this fall. So that narrative has to change based on people getting hands-on with great games. Fonzarelli Gaming, a good friend of mine who has his own podcast, says, Colt, keep up the great work with XNC. Also really like hearing from Destin. I may not always agree with him, but he always has great points, and he's a great guest. So does that offend you, Destin?
No, that's very nice of him. I appreciate it when people can disagree with me politely and we can have a conversation about it. Like I said on Twitter, like if you say, hey, I watched your most recent video, it's sort of weird that you say this, like, do you have any response? And then we have a conversation about it. Mm-hmm. I actually really like those interactions. It's when people come at you hot and then they stay hot and then they throw personal insults in there. It's like, or today was a lot of straw men. You know what a straw man is? It's where you try and make somebody's point as stupid as you possibly can, and then say, "Well, you have YouTube subscriptions, so but you're anti this." I'm like, okay, that's straw manning. Like if you want to talk about the video and the issue I have with it, we can have that conversation. But it was a really weird correlation to me. So for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. It'd be like if I took the play button and the volume control off my videos, like. It's a no-win conversation. It's just sort of pointless to continue at that point. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough because
it doesn't offend me. Sorry.
I know, I get that. Like I don't like sometimes I'll post something and it goes, I never usually agree with Colt, but this was a good take. And I'm like, hey. But it's all good. People, I mute like crazy, Destin. It really helps because if somebody is like overly negative or it just seems like they're never going to change their mind, a mute's a good thing. But, you do need to see people disagree, and constructive criticism, super helpful. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Ken McDowell says, Destin, I love your videos. You and Colt put out some of the best gaming content online. Oh, that's a lie. No, thank you. I'm
Colt,
glad
your videos are really good. Your videos are really good, Colt. Like, I actually first stumbled upon your show, and I was like, okay, is this guy like a narrator or something? Like he's the Xbox games. I'm like, okay, wow, this guy's really into Xbox. And then I just started like getting recommended them. And you put a lot of work in your videos. It definitely shows. Like even your set now and your lighting, like people may not recognize that stuff, but as a guy who's been in the production world for a long time, I recognize the work that you put in your videos. So keep up the great work, man. Even this, like this whole thing, this doesn't happen easy, everybody. Everything is work.
I have a background in graphic design and video production. I've done on my own and done with at my work for quite a while. So I try to pour that into my YouTube videos. So people like wonder why I've got like a mic presence and a narrator presence, because I want like a nice produced video because it's really enjoyable and satisfying for me to make. But I also want people to be entertained and enjoy the video while they're getting the information. But I think it's fun, and I'm glad that people like our content because there's a lot of content out there to get the news, and people can read anything on any site. But if they choose to watch Destin's video, Destin really truly appreciates it. But we really appreciate that. Hugh says, "Do you think Xbox can learn from PlayStation?" I think they are right now, actually. Destin, what do you think Xbox is picking up cues from PlayStation? They are following some of their lead in certain ways.
Oh, I want to.
Uh-oh.
Charge $10 more for all your games. If you're on the Xbox One X, make sure. No.
I feel like you want to grab a garbage can lid and a stick and you can fight the mob off. But no.
Yeah. What could Xbox learn from Sony? Content exclusives. Cadence of releases. I think those are definitely things that they could learn from.
I want those production values that PlayStation. It's a hallmark of PlayStation. Like if Insomniac made Sunset Overdrive and they turned around and made Spider-Man, which amps the production values across the board, the animations, the camera placement and movement, and all of that sound and voice acting is all ramped up for Spider-Man. Like I want Xbox to approach that. When I see Perfect Dark, I want Perfect Dark to be production values, top tier movie experience in your hands, because people make fun of PlayStation's games for like walking simulators. I never say that, because Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, those games all feel great behind the controller. They look great. Yeah, they're great.
Colt, somebody posted something in Thai in the chat, and that reminded me about my wife, who's Thai, who needs to eat dinner. So let's do. I have time for a few more.
Okay, let's. we'll end this thing on one more. That sounds Thai dinner sounds great. One more thing.
It's pizza. I'm making pizza.
Oh, okay. So one last thing we could talk about. We'll skip the console war thing because I think we kind of pretty much covered it because that stuff needs to be squashed. But the one last thing was the Game Pass is huge. We talked about at the beginning. Some people are kind of excusing Game Pass by saying that it's a rental service. And I wanted to get your take on this. Do you think it's a rental service or is that an insult?
I mean, as somebody who subscribed to GameFly for years and purchased many of the games that I still own today using GameFly, I don't see a rental service as a negative. A rental service where you rent 400 games-ish that you keep for like 3 years and sometimes you got to send a few of them back. Like, I don't think, I get what they're trying to do. They're almost trying to make it seem like Game Pass is a negative, but I disagree with the what is it, analogy, the comparison to a rental service. The way I look at it is if there's a game on Game Pass that I want to play this month, I pay the $1, the $9.99 if I'm a lapsed subscriber, and I play that game and I have gotten my money's worth for that month. If you turn on a game using Xbox Game Pass for that month, you have paid for the service for that month. You play a game for an hour because it would have cost you $9.99 to rent
right.
that game for an hour, right? So, and then going further on from there, if you want to purchase that game, you get it at a discount, right?
Yeah.
And Xbox Game Pass Ultimate also includes Xbox Live. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird comparison to me to make, right? That using a rental service is a negative. Why is it a negative? Why is that like so frowned upon or used as a weaponization for Game Pass? I used GameFly for like 3 years and I bought that's how I discovered Rainbow Six, and you were able to rent 2 GameFly games and I would send one back and then I would play the next one. Right. I think they're trying to make that seem like Game Pass is bad. And to me, I don't get it. Right. So,
well, I mean, why is that an insult when we consume our TVs, movie, and music via streaming? I mean, I would say anybody who's in this conversation right now watches all their TV on demand. I think I would assume that you're watching a lot of your stuff on Netflix, Hulu, Prime, and Spotify for your music, or different ways you stream your music to different devices. But for some reason, it seems like a video game has to be bought and owned. But it doesn't. You can do both. I think that's a problem. I don't know why they use that as
either or.
As
you can't do one or can't do both. It has to be Game Pass or you're never allowed to buy anything else. That's the rule. That's what I heard. No, like if there's a collector's edition of if a new Metal Gear came out that was made by Kojima, I'm buying a physical copy of that bad boy because I own every Metal Gear game. Well, okay, there's two I don't own physical editions of because largely we've moved to a digital age, right? And I lived in San Francisco where I did not have the space for physical things anymore. So I kind of let go of that part of it. But a lot of people really like to have a physical copy of a thing to say it's theirs. And I understand that. I actually understand that mentality because I was like that for years. But if you don't have the space and you don't mind being digital, you save space in your place and you can still own that game digitally. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's one of those things where they insult Xbox gamers for not owning their games or not buying them, which I don't know.
It's been a weird narrative.
Yeah, nothing is locked behind the service. But I'm going to we'll say goodbye to Destin here, and I'm going to stick around on the show for just a few minutes and cover the rest of what the chat's talking about. But Destin, thank you so much for coming on. This is a good time. What's going on in your near future? What's next for you? You've got a video going every day. What are your plans for this next coming week?
I mean, if you've watched this far, just check out my videos, youtube.com/the Destin channel. It's something I do in my spare time. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It really forces me to remain sharp about the topics that people are talking about. So I really, really like doing the channel. I like having that outlet to talk about things, even when the entirety of the internet doesn't agree with me or most of the internet gets mad at me for it, because I'm able to talk about things and potentially have my mind changed about stuff. And I like that a lot. So check me out, youtube.com/Destin channel. On IGN, we got Gamescom coming up right around the corner. We got all sorts of stuff. So
I just put your Destin channel in the chat underneath my little subscribe there. That will get you to Destin's channel. If you haven't subscribed, like he said, he's at 66,000. And yeah, I mean, on your trajectory, you should be able to hit that by the end of the year.
We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. I had a fire few months, and we'll see how July goes. I feel like July, I don't know. We'll see. The move definitely jumbled it up.
Oh, I mean, you're still moving, so yeah, we really appreciate it. What are you going to be playing as you say goodbye? What games are you going to be playing when you're not unpacking several cardboard boxes in the garage?
Going to finish Mass Effect 1 on Xbox, the Legendary Edition. I am going to play Plague Tale now that it's enhanced on Xbox. And I'm going to be playing some Metroid just because I want to have that capture on IGN.
Awesome. So you've got all these things plugged into a capture device and you're just going crazy. So yeah, thank you so much.
Over here, you can't see it. This is all production gear. Like,
okay,
I got a Shogun over here and all this, another PC, and yeah. Sorry, Cole.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, just a whole collection of retro and current consoles, and that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, go check out Destin's channel. Of course, you already are, but make sure you're subscribed. Turn that bell on. That's really important. You know, sometimes YouTube doesn't send out that notification as soon as Destin drops a video. And then if he goes like, hey, why aren't people watching? No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny when you create content, you really own it, right? Like you want people to see what you created. So yeah, show your support. You guys are amazing. I'm gonna let Destin go. He's gonna have some great pizza. Thank him so much for being on the show. I'll stick around here for a few minutes. We'll talk about the rest of the chat stuff. Destin, thank you so much. Wave goodbye to everybody.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you, chat. Everybody was really great today. I appreciate you letting me talk.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good luck on Twitter. You're doing great.
All right. I'll catch you later.
All right, see you.
Bye.
All right. Just give me a second here. Let's hit this button. Bang. There we are. Yeah, thank you so much for sticking around, guys. We've got a couple of things that we were talking about before Destin had to go. But yeah, it's been really crazy. I've never been on here by myself, but I'll stick around and talk about the rest of the topics. Got a couple super chats because you guys have got some really good questions. Nathaniel Johnson says, thanks for reminding me to become a member of Destin's channel. When do you think we'll see Xbox acquisitions, and who have you tried Backbone? I have not tried Backbone, but let's talk about those acquisitions really quick because as we were saying, it's Xbox acquisition season, but that does mean that they just started a new fiscal year, so Xbox is looking into bringing more spending to perpetuate Game Pass. I also want to give a shout out to Lethal Papa and Happy Bomb, my moderators I've seen, and Fonzarelli, who are keeping an eye on the chat. I'm seeing tons of names here. Violent Femme, Donald Duck, Brigadier's Blue, We Bleed Green, Eternal Shadeye, just tons of great people in here. Fun speculation. Thank you so much. Those acquisitions, I don't know. I've been hearing so much stuff. I'm privileged to get to talk to people who are talking to people that know what's going on. So I get these little bits and pieces. I try and bring those to you the best of my ability. And the NetherRealm thing really did look like it was a talkable topic. And then it got squashed, and that happens, unfortunately. So I apologize for that one. Wolf Assassin says, can I nominate Colt as the next special guest for Podcast Unlocked? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing. I want to get Ryan McCaffrey on here with Destin. Ryan's like super busy doing a bunch of other stuff with his show, so he hasn't been able to get back to me as far as he said he's spread a little thin right now, but I'd love to have him on. Like he's an OG, right? So Faisal Ashan says, great podcast as always, Colt. Welcome, Destin. Sorry I wasn't here to hear that. Fun Speculation says, really enjoying the show. Keep up the great work. Fun Speculation, but you have fun with your channel, right? That's been really good stuff to do. Let me look at this topics list. There was one thing that actually came up today that I wanted to talk about, and ZeniMax Online is hiring for developers with experience working on the PS4, PS5, and multi-platform for consoles, and that kind of got people alight and crazy about is ZeniMax Online's next multiplayer game going to release on the PlayStation, and the community's kind of split on this one. I don't know in the chat if you've actually seen many people talking about this. Hey, welcome to the channel membership, Hargit Chani with the Joanna Dark channel membership badge. It looks awesome. Welcome to the channel. If you become a channel member, you get my videos 12 to 15 hours before they go up. I normally put a video up in the morning in North America around 8 or 9 in the morning where I am. And what I do is I finish the video the afternoon before, and as soon as it's uploaded and all processed and ready to go, I send that link out to Patreons and channel members. And so there's quite a few people that get to check out that video well before it goes up. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying before that. But Eternal Shaddai says, what will you say to people that say that Game Pass is all over the place and you don't need an Xbox now? It's obsolete. Great show, Colt and Destin. All right, let's talk about this, because I did that speech on Twitter where I said that the console war is irrelevant as far as counting which one is sold more. So right now, keep in mind that Xbox is basically, across the world, Series X consoles, not so much a Series S, but everybody wants a Series X. The X consoles are pretty much sold out as they hit retail, or they're being scalped. So Xbox can't control how many they can sell, because basically when they come off production line, they're gone, as far as Series X, right? So the other part is Xbox is bringing Xbox xCloud to over 22 countries across the world, which means they have a bunch of data centers. I think they have 5 or so in the United States alone. So Xbox is also building chipsets for the Series X and putting them in the data cloud infrastructure. So this means that whatever consoles they could be selling, there's no way they're going to keep up with PlayStation. Also, they're 6 months behind PlayStation in production. So if that wasn't enough to tell you that the Xbox console war, as far as counting hardware, was over, Xbox, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but Xbox, thanks Destin for being in the chat as he leaves. He's awesome. As far as the console sales counts, they're letting you play all of their first-party games on PC and on Steam and on an iPad, on a freaking Kindle Fire. It's amazing. I'm going to take a drink. So, I don't know. I guess I say this, if you're online on social media or on Twitter or in a conversation in the comment section on YouTube, remind people that Yoshida and Phil Spencer both said that monthly active users are more important to the success of these consoles, because right now when you buy a console, Xbox and PlayStation had to take a small hit on that piece of hardware, and they want you to make it up quickly with software purchases and subscription services. And the other thing is, subscription services are leading the world right now. The subscription services are what is pushing entertainment. We just subscribed to Paramount Plus. It has like tons of stuff. I wouldn't even want to tell you how many things. In the chat, please tell me, count how many subscription services you're signed up for every month. I bet you your number is around 6 to maybe even 12. I pay for Spotify, Hulu, Prime, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Xbox Game Pass. There's 5 or 6. And yeah, there's tons of stuff. So that is a big deal. Just remind people that that's no longer a console war. It's irrelevant, completely irrelevant. Let's see. We got RDX Son of Fett. Haven't heard of him in a while. He says the new browser is in beta. Steam, anyone? The new browser. The new Steam browser? Oh, the new browser to launch games in Microsoft Edge, possibly. You can follow that up in the regular chat. I'll answer that better. Nolan Baptiste says, hi, Colt Eastwood. What is your opinion on the rumor of Xbox buying the studio that makes Mortal Kombat? We covered this earlier. And thanks to over 1,100 people who are still here listening to me talk by myself. That's great. I would have kept Destin forever, but he probably would have gotten in trouble. But Mortal Kombat's not happening. NetherRealm's not going to Xbox. So I wonder if there's any type of deal they'll be working on. I don't know. But for them to come right out and squash that rumor probably means that they're not working with Xbox right now, but there are other acquisitions on the table. But I think that pretty much covers all the topics we didn't get to talk to, but it's been kind of quiet. Xbox didn't have any big announcement for today. They tweeted about the mini fridge before the show went up, so I would like to get one of those. Destin says I'm literally making pizza right now. We'll have to ask him what kind. So Happy Bum says that they are subscribed to 7 subscriptions. So 10 subs, says Psychonauts. Let's see what else we have. 5 and 7. Gabriel Martin says 6. Yeah, and it's nuts if you think about it. Those subscription services are about $10 a piece. I don't know if your phone counts as a subscription service, but it's kind of the way. I grew up in an era when I didn't sign up for cable when I was younger because I thought it was a ripoff, like $60 or $80, and you have all these channels you don't want. Like, let me just pick and choose. And now things have changed. Everything's on demand for us. And with Game Pass, the games are on demand. You just go and you download them, and once you get this instant play, you can just load it up on Game Pass game streaming. So shout out to the pizza emojis in the chat. But so that's it. The show's been really great. Thank you so much. This is my 10th episode of Xbox Newscast podcast. Thank you to the 1,300 people that we had concurrently, and 1,100 people are here taking the rest of the questions. You guys are amazing. I really do see all of your names, even though I can't read them all out. Like the Game Filter, him and I talk about guitars all the time. You guys are absolutely amazing. This community is absolutely incredible, so supportive, and I know we're super excited to see the games that are coming out on the platform. It's going to be really good. I'm super excited for even the stuff that Xbox isn't making, like Back 4 Blood. Looks really fun. So thank you to all of you people. If you're a Patreon, please send me a message if you want to party up and play a game. I've got a tier where you can hit me up on a message and we can just get on a chat and play a game together. When I'm not playing Grounded with my kids, I want to kind of get to know everybody a lot better. So thank you. This show's been awesome. I'm going to sign out. I've never signed out by myself, but thank you for checking out everything. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you soon. And remember, when it comes to the console war, don't call people names. Don't put anybody in a chokehold, and just be nice.